first of all, tell us, what is a phobia?
Okay, well, I think perhaps where we want to be back up a little bit to the foundation of a phobia, which is fear. Phobia is a fear that is overstated, in a sense. I think one of the most important things to understand with any fear is that it is part of our human nature, survival instinct, if you wish. You know, either we have a situation where we, fight or flight. So we feel at some level that we feel an anxiety, we feel not so safe, and therefore we experience the emotion of fear. And basically the human being, in a sense, is struggling between two main emotions, one which is fear and the other which is love. Now, a phobia is going to occur when we take a particular scenario, and in our mind, and understanding our mind, which is somewhat like a computer, we magnify it and we make it seem as if it's something that we really can't handle. And so it becomes, shall we say, a knee-jerk reaction towards whatever could be the phobia. So I think that at the end of the day, what we have to look at is, why do we have this fear? And I think fear is a wonderful servant, but a terrible master. So part of what I do with my different personal development courses, or whether I'm in a corporate organization doing customer service or teamwork training, is to understand or help people to understand how does their mind work? What is it that influences how they feel from moment to moment, whether it is an emotion of fear or whether it's an emotion of joy. And this is a very important thing to understand, because I would say at a behavior level or at an instinctual level, oftentimes our mind really plays a game of what I want and what I don't want. So either it's an attraction towards something or a repulsion. And the problem with the mind is that it's never satisfied. You were talking about workplace satisfaction. It is the, shall I say, the pattern of one's mind to be looking in the future, looking in the past, comparing, judging, and expecting things to be perhaps not what they are, including ourselves. And this causes us to sometimes move into a situation where we magnify things and feel that feeling of fear or anxiety. So it's about, I would say, understanding fear is to step above our mind, step above our wants and our needs to control, and perhaps look at the fact that we cannot control. So therefore, we cannot control everything. Yeah. And when we understand that, then we can truly let go. People go to church and they say, let go, let God. But as soon as they walk out of church, their foot is back on the accelerator, feeling that they have to control everything. Not only control everything, but want certain things to be a certain way in their life in order for them to be happy.
And not only be a certain way, they want it when they want it and how they want it. I think that's a part of the control. Now, when I was looking through the long list of phobias there are, some of them seem so far-fetched, but then the way the mind works, like you said, fight or flight, it will depend on how you're able to deal with a certain situation. So bringing it back maybe to the workplace, for example, could it be possible for someone to develop some type of phobia or something along those lines that would, feed into the way that they behave in the workplace?
Absolutely.
Which goes then to how they're treated and how they feel and all of that?
Yes. Energy follows attention. You know, what you focus in life is what you attract. So again, yes, I think what we have to do is back up and understand that why do we think the way we think? Why are we the way we are? And a lot of my work in organizations is to help people to understand what are their patterns of thinking? What are their belief structures? What do they value? And through that understanding of self, then you can witness, oh, this is why I behave in this or that way. For instance, phobia, we use the word phobia, you can use fear. In an organization, sometimes people might say, well, I'm scared, or I'm fearful of speaking up, because there might be consequences.
There will be consequences.
They may have that belief structure. Where do they get that belief structure? Human beings, base their map of reality on memory. If we didn't have memory, we would truly be living with a beginner's mind. We would be living in the present moment. And we know that if we live in the present moment, that is really where joy exists. Not yesterday, not tomorrow. But what people do is they take the baggage of yesterday and carry it with them every day. It's like going into your garbage and trying to find food.
So how then are you able to, keep the baggage behind you?
I think you have to understand, perhaps reframe your baggage. You know, rather than, again, back to the judge. Back to the judge, which is the mind. What the mind does is judges. It judges and compares. So if you were to be able to take a scenario and look at it and reframe it, I think of Nelson Mandela, one of our greatest teachers of all times, who when he went into prison, he actually reframed that as a success, as a victory. That's a total different experience in his mind of what one could judge as the most terrible thing to happen.
Okay, so it's about how you view things. That's pretty interesting. So Nathalie, based on what we've heard from people, a lot of common things, a lot of things are coming up, the child care and that kind of thing. I think what it comes back to is people want their workplaces to treat them like human. But before we get there, how are you able to, if you are, separate the two? Because yes, you're employing somebody, but you're not necessarily able sometimes to deal with all the baggage they come with. We spoke earlier about being able to put the baggage behind and look at your circumstances or what's happening in your life through different eyes. How then do you think, you know, an employer can deal with trying to help their employees get to a better place, and then, you know, the inverse? How can the employee, the person, which might be easier because you're dealing with so many individuals, how are you able to separate the two? Because it may not be stress that is, you know, that comes from the workplace per se.
Absolutely. I think what is very important, and when I perform different trainings in an organization, one of my main programs is called A Winning Attitude. And I basically set up A Winning Attitude as a course where it focuses on communication with self first, and then communication with others. So communication with self is understanding, how do I think? What are my beliefs? What is important to me? What is happening in my life right now? How am I coping with stress? How could I perhaps, you know, look at things in a new way? So how can I reframe them like Mandela did? How can I reframe the different things in my life so that they work for me? And that section of the course is dealing with communication with yourself, whether it is at work, whether it is at home, whether it is with your children, whether it is with your friends. And learning how to go to a point where, okay, how do I think about myself? First of all, I have to have a belief in myself. I have to realize that the past does not equal the future. I have to be able to look at myself in such a way that I can express myself, the true me, the full me. And one of the challenges, I think, is when we think of separation. I think we need to see ourselves in our holistically in life, and be able to apply or to approach life from that perspective. A lot of times when I go into organizations, although there is a hierarchy, what I see as the future in organizations is truly a we. It's not, you know, us and them, management and staff. It is a we.
All right, okay,
you know.
So we are gonna continue. I think one of the biggest fears that people have, that they're driven by in what they do and how they do things, how they approach life, is death.
Absolutely. I think that is our greatest fear, the fear of death. And I think the challenge with that is that we cannot get out of this. We are going to die, you know, and my belief is that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. I think ultimately, if we can learn to understand that there's a certain instinctual side of us, sometimes I call it the ego mind, which is the mind that wants things a particular way, wants to control things. If we can understand that that part of us will always fear death, that is instinctual, that's wired into us. But part of the journey of life, I think, is to step above the mind that says, I want this, I want so much money, I want to have a car, I want to have love, I want to not die, I want to be healthy, I don't want to grow old, I want to look young forever. If you can witness that this is what the mind does, that's okay. Step above that and know that truly we are timeless beings. So therefore, if we could get to a point where, even though we know that the mind is doing this, but we could get to a point where we could really release and know that all is well, and that we are going to die. And that is, you know, that is the way it is. And I think death is a huge fear that in many ways mirrors or causes phobias, in a sense that, you know, you think, well, oh, I don't want to die, I don't want to be hurt, I don't want pain. To understand that in life, as we talked about the metaphor of life is like a movie. You know, if you go to a movie And you sit there, and from the beginning to the end, it's just one happy scene after the other.
It's true, and even if they're bad scenes, we all know that the star of the picture will not die.
Well, there's that too.
Yeah.
Yet on the other hand, you're not going to go to a movie unless there's some excitement, there's some adventure, there's some mountain to climb, and that is our life. We've come in as a little baby, pure, innocent, and we're here on a journey. We don't know when it's going to end. It will end in terms of our physical body. Our bodies have not been manufactured to last forever. So let us relax. Relax with what is.
How are we able to do this, Nathalie? How are we able to, you know, like you mentioned, separate the ego in us in terms of what we want and what we're calling for and what we expect? What would be ideal from what is reality?
Okay. Well, I think first of all, it's the whole concept of ideal. You know, it's my will, not thy will be done. It is my will. You know, so where we need to get to, and I say it jokingly sometimes in my seminars, is that we have to fire the judge and hire the witness. What I mean by that is fire that part of you that is constantly comparing, or at the workplace, looking for opportunities to say that I'm not appreciated, or looking for opportunities to say, look, that person didn't speak respectfully to me. Why not change your focus? Why not witness and look for what can I be grateful for in my life? You know, and look at that and feel that from your heart and want to reframe your life and understand that, yes, there's this other part of me that is going to judge me, that I'm not good enough. But know that I am perfect.
But more importantly, you cannot control what other people do, how they think, and how they relate to you, how they refer to certain circumstances, how they respond. You cannot control that. I think that's the most important thing.
Nothing in life has any meaning except the meaning you give it. And we have to take charge of that. We have to take that responsibility to know at the end of the day, moment to moment, it is entirely up to us how we feel about anything.
Nathalie, I can sit and talk to you all day long because you're kind of hitting the nail on the head, following through from what, you know, we talked about with Michelle earlier on. So I have to thank you for coming in and sharing with us. And I kind of, it puts things in perspective. Because sometimes we don't remember the things we know, you know. So some reminders today so we can get you back to that.
Gratitude.
Yeah,
Gratitude.
So some reminders to get us back to that place where we're thankful for certain. So you look at it, the glass is half full and not half empty, you know.
The glass is as it is.
Be the optimist and not the pessimist. Thank you for coming in once again.
Thank you very much.
Here's where we're going to take a break. When we come back, a whole lot more. We're going to have some great singing and we're going to tell you about the competitions. There's lots more coming up. Stay with us.